walked out to Dirty by Christina Aguilera because it's one of the words that you know who used when he was talking about me in particular, but he was talking about us at his rallies. And he spent 2 separate rallies ranting about Tuesday's interview with Vice President Kamala Harris. Take a look.
If anything, would you have done something differently than President Biden during the past 4 years?
There is not a thing that comes to mind in terms of, and I've been a part of most of the decisions that have had impact.
I think the other one asking the question is dumber than Kamala, so she's a dummy. I watched her over the years. That is one. Well,
I don't see a lot of them until we watch clips of them, but when you read the transcripts, it is some of the most unhinged, incomprehensible things I have ever heard.
And she said people started leaving and got bored.
And I do want to do just a quick fact check because Trump actually is one of the people who has a filthier mouth than Whoopi Goldberg. He says words every other word when he's not on television and trained himself to do otherwise. But also he called you a loser. And I would just note, you're an EGOT. He lost the last election and can't admit it. Calling you dumb, he does not have a law degree. You do.
That's true.
But listen, he's triggered by women.
His professor said he was the dumbest student he ever had.
Yeah. He's always been triggered by women when they call him out. It's why he has such a challenge with women in this election and why I think they're going to be a deciding factor in when he loses. And there's a reason his campaign doesn't want him to keep doing these rallies. He can't fill them the way that he used to, but they also hurt him because the more people hear the crazy, the meanness, the name calling, they're just over it. It's exhausting. It's not what
they average 82 minutes compared to 45 minutes in 2016. They're tracing with numbers and statistics his decline. It's
they're also going after Kamala because on this show she said that she would not do anything different from Biden. Watch the ads. There's a lot of that.
But you know
I'd just like to say inflation is slowing down and the job numbers are through the roof, and so is the stock market.
And what And what she also did say is what she would do different than Biden presidency is that she would have a Republican in her cabinet,
like maybe Liz Cheney.
But also, and so I think that's an important point.
Here's the real thing that everybody has to be aware of. This is what irritated him. Not what's going on. Hurricanes, there's all kind of stuff going on in our country. But we irritated him to the point where he had to admit he does watch the show, something we all knew.
Well, of positivity, of hope, of kind of looking forward. It's such a contrast to the way Donald Trump continues to speak. The New York Times said it best. They said the former president's speeches have grown darker, harsher, longer, angrier, less focused, more profane, and increasingly fixated on the past. They went through and had a percentage, like this assessment of all the things he's doing. One of them is he's using 13% more all or nothing terms, which is actually a sign of advancing age. 69% more swear words, so maybe he likes a little dirty. But he goes on and
dirty I wasn't. I never grabbed anybody by their genitalia.
Well, and then that part. But I think there was a bunch of coverage of the crowd sizes, which I think is why he was so angry when he was talking. There were actually reporters taking pictures of this is when he took the stage.
Sad.
So he was already triggered as that happens. But I would urge, I think Vice President Harris said it best. She said, I encourage you to go listen to one of these rallies.
Also recognized with a Special Achievement Award by the Department of Justice. You remember the Department of Justice, right? It's the agency that's been pursuing you for decades. And like Madam Vice President Kamala Harris, I've had a history of prosecuting sex offenders. So thank you for keeping people like us in business. And as for dumb questions, you're always welcome to come here and answer some. If sitting so close to a prosecutor won't make you nervous. I'll even give you a free View mug. Not to be confused, though, with a mugshot. Because that's your area.
Okay. Can I just say one thing? So, the lying, his lying is monumental, as we all know. And even people who are Trump supporters, watch this. Just watch this. This is good.
I have a hard time doing it to them because I'm basically a truthful person. But and frankly, no, but frankly,
Basically, and I am a natural redhead who's 29 years old. Okay, I mean the jokes just come so
When you
easily.
listen to him as a whole, I think again what Vice President Harris is getting is this groundswell of positivity, of hope, of kind of looking forward. It's such a contrast to the way Donald Trump continues to speak. The New York Times said it best. They said the former president's speeches have grown darker, harsher, longer, angrier, less focused, more profane, and increasingly fixated on the past. They went through and had a percentage, like this assessment of all the things he's doing. One of them is he's using 13% more all or nothing terms, which is actually a sign of advancing age. 69% more swear words. So maybe he let
Is that she would have a Republican in her cabinet.
In her cabinet, like maybe Liz Cheney.
But also,
and so I think that's an important point.
here's the real thing that everybody has to be aware of. This is what irritated him. Not what's going on.
Right.
Hurricanes,
Right.
there's all kind of stuff going on in our country. But we irritated him to the point where he had to admit he does watch the show, something we all knew. So when you hear people saying, I don't watch that show, they're lying.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Now, we have to do one of the things that we do really well here, and that is correct dangerous misinformation that he is spreading about FEMA, hurricane relief. Listen, if you've been impacted by either the